Question number one. How do they play base defense at full strength? I think this will be interesting because last year we saw Jalen Petrie play a large percentage of the snaps at what you could consider cornerback for the most part. I mean, and they didn't have Christian Harris, so I don't know if that would have been the case had it not happened, but they obviously liked what they saw with Petrie. I think a big reason why they drafted Jalen Reed out of Penn State in an ideal scenario to develop behind Jimmy Ward and Jalen Petrie was because maybe they like the way that they play football in that set. But it will be interesting to see how they play base defense at full strength. And let's pretend that Christian Harris and Jalen Petrie are healthy. What do those splits look like? And how does DeMeco attack it? That's question number one that impacts the corners.
Well, you don't pay Jalen Petrie $10 million a year to put Christian Harris on the field instead of him. So I would tell you that most of the time they're going to have two cornerbacks and Jalen Petrie and two linebackers on the field. That would be my educated expectation.
Yeah. Question number two. How do they handle the inevitable shorthandedness? Now, you showed off your vocab early. I don't know if this is a word handedness, but I did not get corrected in the spell check. So how do they handle the inevitable shorthandedness? Last year it was D'Angelo, not TJ Maxx, more Ross out there looking like a bad Ross with the perfect passer rating against Jordan Love. How do they handle it? What do they do? If/when Lassiter or Stingley misses time, are we seeing Smith as CB1? Jalen Smith, what are we seeing? How are they going to handle that? Do they become more open if something happens to bringing in a Stephon Gilmore? I think those corners that are on standby that we hear about a lot, if Stingley or Lassiter is going to miss more time, I think you become more open-minded to bringing those guys in. But it will be interesting because it's inevitable. It's the only certainty in football is that you're going to be shorthanded at some time. How do they handle the inevitable shorthandedness? Piggybacking off of how they play defense, base defense at full strength.
And Jalen Smith is my hope on how they handle it. And I hope he finds a way to solidify himself as that guy should one of those outside guys miss time, or even if Petrie has to miss time. Hopefully they would trust Smith enough to maybe be able to do what Petrie does as well. That'd be my hope. Obviously, before he retired, they had a veteran to compete with Smith, but it's going to be it's hopefully going to be Smith. After that, it's oh crap.
Yeah, and it's also, well, at least you have a good edge duo that can perhaps pressure the quarterback and lower the amount of time that they have to cover. Question number 3. Who's going to be cornerback 3?
Yeah, Jalen Smith's my hope. And I think, you don't spend
That's the best case scenario is that he's the unquestioned CB3.
Correct.
I mean, when you trade up for a guy that early and then the guy that was in front of him is gone, you would hope that naturally he would step up. That would have been the ultimate scenario, even if Darby had been here, if Smith was just head and shoulders above him. But
yeah, that's what you hope when you draft a guy in the third round, that he could lock down a for sure spot on the 2 deep at the very least. Like, there's not a path for him to start, so the best spot he can end up on the depth chart is a backup that you trust behind Stingley outside and behind Lassiter outside.
No doubt. Question 4. How good can Kamari be? That's what's the next step for Kamari Lassiter? How good can he be? Can he be a fringe Pro Bowl cornerback? Is he going to be one of those guys that gets talked about? Because it does seem like Mitchell and Dejin get talked about like at a higher level. Maybe just because they're on good teams. I don't know. But like Kamari Lassiter, how good can he be?
It's to me, it's not out of the question that he ends up as, one of the 30 best corners in football. And you think about, okay, you got either the number 1 or number 2 corner, and then the 25th best cornerback in football. It's like that's a great duo. Nobody else has anything really close to that. Could he climb into the top 20? It seems a pretty high bar to get to, but after the incredible rookie season and the way that he approaches things, and I wrote about this last week on Houston Football, they had the guys walking over for like the final day of mandatory minicamp. And so, what are you doing with your break? It's like one guy's getting married. Stingley said, I'm going to go to sleep. DeMeco's like, I'm going to Cabo. Kamari Lassiter goes, working, and kept walking. And it's like, the guy is just always putting in time. He's always paying attention to it. He wants to get better. He said he understands the game better than he did last year. Last year was just, go a million miles an hour, try to make a play, but he understands the game better. Like, I believe him when he says that. And he's going to be really good this year is my hope.
Yeah, he's solid. He's everything you want in a CB2. I mean, quite honestly, like if Derek Stingley didn't exist, I would be intrigued to see, can Kamari Lassiter emerge as like a CB1 that you feel okay about? Like, and that's how high I am on him. But you have Derek Stingley, so now it's kind of like, okay, well, he's CB2. He's going to be CB2 for the next at least however long Stingley's here. But you feel good about Kamari Lassiter. Like if you didn't have Derek Stingley, there'd be a lot of concern about the position, obviously, but you would at least be intrigued to see what Kamari Lassiter can be. And I'm a big fan of the young man in many ways. Number 5 question about the corners. Who not on the roster gets a shot? And this could be just some rando that's going to happen. Like it might happen a couple of times, but we're going to walk up to practice and Aaron Wilson is going to report that Needle Dong Johnson has signed a deal with the Texans, or this guy, Whack Jackson, has signed a deal with the Texans. There's going to be other guys that get opportunities because they are going to churn the corner position, and there's going to be some guys that emerge. Sometimes those guys come into camp and they end up making the team, but it is going to happen. I think the guys that we